All right, what's good, everybody? Happy Thursday. Welcome to our market update today. Hey, that's every day so far this week that the markets have been lower. We will, of course, cover those along the way. If you want to see what we do here at Jazz Wealth, just go to jazzwealth.com. You can click portfolios, see our portfolios, our performance. You can schedule a call, speak with me directly if that's better for you. You can also open a new account, transfer a new account, or roll over your old 401k, whatever it may be. Happy to help you there. We are going to dig right in here. So let's just get started with the markets. Let's pop it up there. Yeah, everything's still working. All right, I love it. So that is not the markets that you see on the screen. Let me get this going here. So the market's lower again. The Dow, now this will be the 8th day straight down. The Dow is lower by, I messed up the thing, 192. The S&P 500 sold off 17. The Nasdaq closed down 68 on the day. It was one of those days where they basically just came for everything. Here's the Dow on the screen. The technical traders, we noted the other day that they broke through their support. That green line is where everybody wanted the Dow to hold. It did not, and because it broke, a lot of that pressure here in the short term is just short-term traders just taking their profits, saying, oh boy, next stop, the 200-day moving average, which is that red line down there. I guess that's around like 24,210, somewhere in there. We'll take a look at the Nasdaq, because normally, and what we've seen is the Nasdaq plow ahead even when the markets were down. That is not the case today. Your tech stocks did take the day off. We had some profit taking going on over there, so the Nasdaq was lower on the day, of course. And then the S&P 500, there you go on the screen. That one trying to show some signs of life as far as technical support goes. If you follow that sort of thing, technical support is still currently holding. And then I wanted to point out the Russell 2000 as far as another index there. This one's been on fire since if we go back to May, the beginning of May. It's just been going nonstop, just creeping higher there. Today, a big reversal day if you're a technical trader. That's the best reversal day we've seen in over a month now. You have to go back to about April or maybe even further to see a reversal day of that magnitude. So that is more than likely going to be the temporary top for the Russell 2000 from here. We'll see. Maybe there's some good news. Maybe something pushes it higher. If you follow the exchange-traded funds for that, by the way, also looked very similar. Also a very strong reversal day. Not the strongest if you follow candlesticks, but still a pretty strong reversal day. Let's talk about some of the tech stocks, because that was, to me, the interesting thing today was that the tech stocks were weaker when they haven't really been weaker lately. So if we go over and we look at a few different categories here, what you see on the screen is the semiconductors, your chip makers, and they were down about 1.25% today. A lot of that's going to come from Intel. Intel makes up 10% of the SMH. So a good example here, and I'm just going to break away for a second. Let's go back to this, because this I get a lot of questions on, these exchange-traded funds. So an exchange-traded fund is just a basket of stocks. We know that. And so one of them is the SMH, and that is comprised of semiconductor stocks. And so what happens is they have all this money coming in from people that want to invest in semiconductor stocks, and Intel is one of them. Taiwan Semiconductors, I believe, is second in line. Then you got like Micron Technologies and Nvidia. This is in some rough order. I believe Intel is the top holder, then Taiwan, then so on and so on. But here's how it goes. This ETF is made up of a basket of stocks at different percentages, just like we do at Jazz Wealth. We allocate everything in different percentages. So they've decided that 10% of all the money in the SMH, it's actually 9.99 at the moment, but 10% is going to go into Intel. They've decided that I don't know what it is, 7.8 or something, is going to go into Taiwan Semiconductors. They've decided that 8% is going to go into Micron, and 8% is going to go into that one. So the majority of this ETF is comprised of those four names. Well, let's go back to the stocks here for a second. Intel, well, you can't see it anymore. Intel, the number one stock that holds 10% in the SMH, was down 2.3% today. Now, the news is irrelevant, but basically the CEO had a, quote, consensual relationship with one of the employees, That's not allowed, so he stepped down. That's not really why he stepped down. There's no reason why they would ask a CEO to step down over that, especially if it was consensual and nobody had any problems with it. Something else happened there. We'll find out more over time. We always do. That stuff never stays secret. But anyways, 10%. Let me pull this back real quick. There we go. 10% of it was down 2.38% today. So over here you got Intel minus 2.38%. Okay, so that already is going to weigh on the semiconductors. Let's go back here for a second. Let's look at Taiwan Semiconductors. Like I said, I don't know what the exact holding is, but I know it's very close to that. Taiwan Semiconductors, they lost 1.9. Okay, so already the top 20%. It can't be 20%. It's got to be a little bit less than that. The top bulk of what's going on there. There we go. So the top 20, sorry about that. So the top 20% so far having a bad day. If I go over to MU, that was, Micron finished up on the day. Look at that. Micron finished up. Let's give them a little credit for that, and then we're going to move on. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this for you. Maybe we'll do a class or something. But that was up 0.83%. And then the last one there, Nvidia, I believe that was down on the day. That one finished down 2%. Okay? So if you're wondering, hey, why didn't the markets do anything today? That's your reasoning, right? We need tech. We always need the tech stocks in order to get anything done. We also need the banking stocks. Well, today the tech sector didn't do very well. Why is that? Because the majority of the big piece of the puzzle, the top like 20% of this was down pretty good today, and so that's going to hold you back. Now, if we take it a step further, let's go back to the charts. I'm getting better with this software here, by the way. If we go back, this on the screen now is the financials. You go, all right, well, tech didn't help us out today. Did financials do anything interesting? And as we go and look at it, no, they didn't do anything interesting. They were down 0.25% today. So nothing good there. That doesn't really help anybody at all. And so that's part of the reason why we didn't get anything done. Sorry to make a long explanation out of that, but that's what you have there as far as the ETFs go. Let's look at some other stuff here while we're in the mix. You've got oil, the price of oil not going to budge. Barely any movement today. Here is the actual physical price per barrel of oil, or the price of oil, light sweet crude. And you can see today it did nothing. Barely budged higher, barely budged lower. So not really any big deal there. If you're trying to chat with me, I don't think it's actually coming through. I'm going to try to fire that thing back up. But barely anything going on there, no problem. And so that's going to stay the same. You got the big OPEC meeting going on tomorrow. Nobody is going to take significant risk ahead of that OPEC meeting. Tomorrow will be the big decision whether they decide to raise their production cap or anything. We'll see. I don't know. It'll be in the news. We'll definitely talk about it. Let's move on to retail stocks. You're going to see that on TV as well. The Supreme Court today ruled that basically states can require that businesses collect sales tax from people that purchase in the state, even if the business has no place of business in the state. So for example, if we live in South Dakota, let's say, I buy something on a website that's based somewhere else, South Dakota says we still want to be paid state tax on that because the purchaser was in South Dakota. The Supreme Court said today, that's cool. Yeah, states can allow that. And to me, that's ridiculous, right? The reason why brick and mortar stores can't compete has nothing to do with a little extra tax, right? So all these brick and mortar stores are like, it's not fair. They buy online because they avoid the tax. That's not the reason. I hope that people are not operating businesses with that mindset. We'll see. But anyways, so what happened there, if you go to stock symbols like Etsy. So Etsy did really well the other day, shot up higher, but today was down 1.33%. So Etsy, they have to deal with this now. If you sell stuff on that website, you could potentially have to deal with that. Not an overnight thing. They're not changing that right away. Each state will have to do that, but you know each state's going to go in there and say, yeah, we want our tax now because they're missing out on billions of dollars. They need the billions of dollars. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but it hurts stocks like eBay. I think Amazon was down on the day too. Not such a big deal. Etsy, Wayfair, they're way too expensive anyways. Wayfair was lower on the day as well. And so that's the news. That's what you're seeing as far as that goes. Let's move on to a couple other stocks, specifically in the news. Darden Restaurants. Darden Restaurants up 15% on the close. They beat earnings, and they said that this came from a lot of their Olive Garden, Capitol Grill, Longhorn Steakhouse, and I believe Seasons 52. That one might have done well as well. That's what they own. They own the Outback Steak, or I don't think they own Outback anymore. They own those restaurants, and Bahama Breeze is another one that they own. They're just killing it. Everybody's going out to eat these days. If a restaurant can be efficient, which these guys have essentially mastered, if a restaurant can be efficient, people are not going to change and all of a sudden go home and eat. We did a budget class. We broke down all of the entire U.S. budget last year to explain how 44% of people's grocery budget goes to actually eating out. They don't actually eat at home anymore. So while there may be some pricing issues if the economy softens, overall, people are going out to eat. They're just not eating at home. Speaking of which, let's go to Kroger. You would think, okay, well, they're not going to Kroger. So then that should be fine there, right? This Kroger should be a little bit weak. It was prior. Now that we've come into this new earnings announcement, Kroger actually beat earnings pretty good, actually. They had a pretty decent earnings release there. These guys are trying to keep up with the likes of like when an Amazon decides they want to sell groceries or deliver them. These guys got it going on. I don't know if you have a Kroger in your area, but hopefully you get to see some of the changes they're making. I think they're doing a pretty good job. That's it. That's all I have for you. After hours here, Red Hat. If you follow Red Hat, some of our customers actually, I know of one in particular I'm thinking of is a Red Hat employee. Red Hat stock down 9.5% after the close. Not too good there. You never want to see that. That one tends to move a lot on earnings, so not too big of a deal. You're probably used to that. And that's it. That's really all I got. So tomorrow the focus is going to be on OPEC. Right, that'll be the big focus tomorrow. What happens there? What are the plans for all of that? And then, of course, any news that comes out throughout the day. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Leave a comment. Let me know. I think I'm getting much better with this software here. Gumshoes, like, hey man, you've been reading this could become the largest market slump since the 1970s. It makes you so nervous. Well, honestly, whatever you read, there's an equal article or video that will say that it's going to be the biggest rally since then as well. So it just depends on where you look. Like if you fall into that category of watching like the people that want to invest in gold and stuff, and they're like, oh man, you got to have your physical gold. Yeah, that's their argument that the world's going to end, but they've been saying that forever. So, that's a tough one. You got to be careful. I always try to say, look for the stats. The market will fall eventually. It is going to fall. But here's a stat for you. You want a stat? Let me give you this. We did a whole thing for our customers to break this down. Oh, what is that? So we did this whole thing here. When markets fall 10%, so you've got a 10% loss anytime that's happened, right? If you go back to 1950, the average decline, sorry about that, the average number of days that the market actually declined, 196 days. So if the markets fall, they're going to fall on average 196 days before they recover. If we go back even further, so if we go after Black Tuesday, 1987, after that, now it's sped up. 168 days is the average market decline of 10% or more. So if the markets fall and you're getting nervous about this, then hey, well, the stats are somewhere in between here that the market's going to fall. And we also know that the markets recover 100% of every decline. Do you think that right now we're about to enter the worst financial thing ever that's actually going to take the US down or take China down or something? Right? There's been so many scares over the years. 2008, to be honest, maybe because I was old enough to kind of understand, that was freaky. That was potentially the brink of disaster, and still, average market decline, we know what happened, and the markets recovered more than 200% of what they lost. So be very careful. I didn't mean to go long on that, but be very careful when you let things influence you to change your investing path, right? So we're going to be focusing a lot more on that soon, because if people realize that there is nothing to be afraid of, if you have the right investments, you will recover every single time. No question about it. There's no stat that ever changes that number. You recover. It's just a matter of waiting it out. If you've got at least that much time, then you know it's going to recover, right? I want to completely take the fear out of investing. Is there going to be scary times? Yeah, there's going to be some scary times, and that's just part of the deal. That's part of the game. So anyways, I didn't mean to make this super long. I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much. If I've helped you in some way today, hit the subscribe button, let me know, or give us a shot over at Jazz Wealth. Check out what we do. We manage these investments for you. We can help you transfer accounts. We can help you start new accounts. Give us a chance. If you're not happy, we always let you keep your account in your name. So you never need us if you decide to move on to somewhere else, or you just decide you want to do it yourself. And I appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.